Welcome, producer Pete here for a very special episode of Podcasters of the Universe. Today, your host, Jeremy DeWitt and Steve Bisciotti, welcome, I would say, the biggest guest, both off-screen and on-screen, that they've ever had. Today, we are welcoming James Unsworth. James is a screen actor with extensive experience across action-driven film and television, alongside high-level character and creature performance capture work with major studio productions. His on-screen credits include Masters of the Universe, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and Final Reckoning, Six Underground, Avengement, and Disney's Cinderella, as well as audio drama work for Big Finish. James trained in drama and theater at Goldsmiths University in London and brings a strong foundation in character, physical storytelling, and screen performance to his work. He is represented by Winter Sons, and for motion and performance capture, he is represented separately by Voice Fox. Yes, they have a guest so big, he has not one, not two, but three agents. It is my absolute pleasure to bring on Mr. James Unsworth. How you doing, James?
Hey guys, I'm good, thank you. How you guys doing?
Hey, welcome to the show, man.
We're doing fantastic. This is really cool. I never thought I'd get to introduce. I never thought I'd get a Masters of the Universe movie, let alone get to talk to somebody who participated in making it. So this is a big huge, cool thing.
Right? Yeah, had we held our breath when we first heard there was going to be a new Masters of the Universe movie, we would have been dead 30 times over by now. So the fact that it's happening and it's pretty big, sort of, kind of. We'll get to that. But yeah, to have somebody actually, and I got to say, so I've been a creeper in the past. You guys know this pretty well. And back in the day when I first started listening to podcasts and stuff, I would reach out to those people because those were the big people in my world. You know, these guys are on the internet radio. And so it was like, oh my God, Val Staples, He-Man.org PowerCon guy, talk to me. And I'm like, we've hung out. But now we have legitimate dudes who are in the movie. That's and not only that one, but I mean, we all saw Spider-Man recently. You were also in that, working on the Hulk. So, I mean, thank you. Thanks for finding us.
You're welcome.
The biggest thing to happen to Potu was somebody coming to you. Not anything you guys did.
I didn't want to be weird.
So, obviously, you're talking to us for doing the Mutu or the motion caption for Beastman in the new Master of the Universe, but you're a real trained dramatic actor. You went to school for it and everything. How did you get into doing mocap stuff? Was that ever the plan, or was it just something you ended up doing?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it was the plan. It's always been a goal of mine. But it's when I came down to so originally I'm from the north of England. When I came down to London to become an actor, and I went to Goldsmiths and I studied it. Everyone, when I got on the scene, all the other actors, they were all they call themselves triple threat actors. They act, they sing, and they dance. And I ain't much of a singer, and I don't dance. So I was like, cool, I need another string to my bow, So I was like, I'll be the fight guy, I'll learn stage combat, I'll get really, really good with weapons, and I'll be the guy people can come to do violence on stage. And I started learning it and loved it. I really, really took to it, So I spent years just learning everything that I could, training under different people. And when you follow that path through as far as it can go, you sort of get to a ceiling, and there's two roads, and one leads you to become a teacher in it, and the other one naturally leads you to stunts in movies. So I went down the stunts route just because I wanted to remain a performer, and started getting work in the stunt industry and building it up. Being a massive gamer, I've always been a massive fan, and I had a big interest in motion capture. And then I find out that a lot of motion capture performers are stunt performers. So I start trying to find my way into the industry. I get a few gigs, and then I managed to land my motion capture agent, Emily from VoiceFox, who then started to get me regular work. And then since then, it's just sort of been a snowball, just picking up steam and growing in size until, you know, I get to do these great roles, you know.
While we're on that, can you kind of give us a rundown? I want you to take a minute and brag. I want to hear like the kind of that course of like the smaller roles starting leading up to, like, what were some of the ones that that you had the most fun with, or that you're the most proud of? That's very interesting to me, that like that path. That's super cool.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, like it's weird because like in terms of mocap, I started working with ILM, I think about 5 years ago, like Industrial Light and Magic, and a lot of the stuff I've been doing for over the years is a lot of it is we call it population work, where basically, say you have a big scene in a movie or a TV show, like imagine like a big battle scene, you know, they don't hire thousands and thousands and thousands of extras. They hire 100 extras, and then the other thousands and thousands and thousands of extra are motion capture actors like me who come in for a day, do a million different things, and then they just repopulate, you know.
Oh,
and
that is interesting.
That's how they make these big expansive crowd scenes. So for a lot of it was, you know, doing population work for them, which I love. You know, it's a fun day. You know, it varies on film to film. You know, but in terms of some of the favorite things that I've done, it's probably, so I'll give you one from the acting world, one from the stunt world, and one from the mocap world. So acting wise, I did this show. It was directed by this dude who became a very, very good mate of mine. And he'd written this play called Nick. And the idea of it was that it was based in the middle of the Shakespeare play Midsummer Night's Dream. And in Midsummer Night's Dream, in case people just don't know the plot, you've got a cast of characters called the Mechanicals, who are, you know, they're sort of like the comedy relief in the play. And one of them, Bottom, gets his head turned into a donkey by some fairies in the woods. And all his mates run off and into the woods screaming because their friend's now a donkey. And they then appear at the end of the play to do a little comedy number. And Nick was focused on what happens to the Mechanicals in that time period where they run off into the woods terrified and then they come back later on. But my mate Jamie, he's got a very, very cool, you know, almost Guy Ritchie way of talking and writing scripts. So it wasn't written in Shakespeare lingo. It was written in, you know, good, dirty English, you know. And it was just a lot of fun because it was, the idea was that the Mechanicals go to their local pub to try and process what happened, and some of the fairies follow them to mess with them, you know. So it'd be like, oh god, that was weird, wasn't it? Let's put some music on. Let's turn the jukebox on, and we press the jukebox, and it's like, you are all bad. Like, oh, I don't know. You know? And that was just a really fun show with a great group of lads that I loved. And if I could do anything again, it would be that show.
Cool.
Stunt wise, my first gig on a big film was Six Underground. Michael Bay directing, Ryan Reynolds starring. And the first day we were on set, we all had to be dressed up like chefs. Because in this scene, it's like we're on this really, really posh yacht, and Ryan Reynolds' character has attached magnets on either side of the yacht, and on his phone, he's just swiping back and forth. So everything metal in the yacht, you know, zoom, and then he swipes this way, goes zoom, you know, including knives, guns, bullets, you know, everything. So the scene itself is chaos. But we were all standing in a line, and Michael Bay's just going down the line at all the stunties, just going, no, not you, no, no, no. And he comes to me and he's just like, you, how big's your head? And I'm like, it's this big, you know.
You can see it.
Yeah. And he's like, will it fit in an oven? And I'm like, well, I don't know, like, brother, how big's your oven? You know. And then he starts losing his temper. He's like, genius, can I smash your head through an oven door? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, this oven, like, bang, you know. And it literally, as camera's rolling, smash your face through this oven door, and I just sort of did it and ate it. And Mike was just like, "Ha! Brilliant! Moving on." You know? And it was just absolute chaos, you know. And it was really, really funny. And then, then in terms of the motion capture, it's probably like either Beastman or Hulk. That was really, really cool. We've had some fun. We had some fun days on The Witcher. I had to do some zombie stuff for The Witcher, and that was just a whole day of just pretending to be a zombie, and that was a laugh, you know. So yeah, those are my three.
Super cool. So now, thinking about this, you know, can your head go through this? You know, so you've obviously sustained some injuries on the job. I would say yes.
A few.
A couple. You're like, I'm kind of slowing my words here. What's the worst injury you've gotten on the job?
So I've had a few. Like I've cracked my collarbone. I've had my nose broken. I've fractured an ankle. There's a few things, but the worst one that comes to mind, weirdly, wasn't through stunts. It was through motion capture. And the thing is that when you're working in stunts, you know, there's a whole camera crew and the whole scene, and everything takes time to set up. So you'll do the stunt, and then it's cut, okay, reset, and then you'll have about 10-15 minutes while everything's reset, you know, explosives are primed again and what have you. So everything takes a while. In motion capture, you don't have that. Motion capture is just, okay, go, excellent, cool, take two, go, you know, and it's consistent. You just go, 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 go. And it's how we get so much done in such limited time. And now there's one show that I was working on where we, again, doing crowd population work, we basically just had to be a crowd getting gunned down. So it was just an entire day of taking bullet reactions. And the thing with taking bullet reactions is not only are you running and then bang, oh, you've got to fall, but a lot of them, you know, it's bullets in the head, in which case, you know, you're snapping your head back and forth like this, which when you're doing it over a period of 8 hours, you're just getting rattled, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, you know, we finished for the day, and I turned to my mate and I was just like, I think I have a concussion. And he's like, yeah, I think I've got one too, you know. And and then that messed me up for like 3 days. That's it, you know.
Goodness, man. I thought I rattled my brain just playing heavy metal music in the 90s. I couldn't imagine, man.
So like you've mentioned, you know, video games and liking that sort of thing. And so, I mean, you kind of seem like you're a dude that's kind of into this stuff. Like you like getting to be Beastman would be fun for you. Is that, I mean,
oh yeah.
The Hulk, all of this stuff. It seems like you're kind of doing what everybody kind of wishes they could do.
Oh yeah, man. And I grew up on different fandoms. You know, it was like Star Wars was my big one, but you know, Marvel, Masters to a lesser extent. But I was, you know, it was in the zeitgeist. You know, but yeah, it's nerd culture and geek culture is my bag. You know, and it always has been. So whenever I'm working on these projects, I generally always know what it is going in, and I'm generally normally a fan, you know, like I did work on Destiny, the game, you know, and you know, as soon as I saw the word Ghost and Guardian, I was like, Destiny, yes, you know, can't wait for this, you know. And then, you know, I did some job on I did mocap for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It's like a spin-off of the Borderlands games. But I'm like, Tiny Tina, I know Tiny Tina, she's from Borderlands. Oh, this is going to be great, you know. So I generally always know what's going on, you know. And even with Masters of the Universe, I get the code name through. I'm like, that's Masters. Oh, Beastman, awesome. You know, I sort of know where I'm going, you know. And again, with Spider-Man, you know, I knew the code name for that was Blue Oasis, right? So I knew the Blue Oasis came through. I was like, oh, it's something for Spider-Man. I wonder what that could be, you know. And I just thought it'd be, you know, more population work. And then I see that I'm the only name on the call sheet. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing something special for this. And then,
I'm important.
yeah. And then you see, you know, the code of SH. And I'm like, SH, what could that stand for? And then it's like SH, thunderclap. And I'm like, oh, I know what a thunderclap is, you know. Yeah, I love it. You know.
So, Ari, our fans are going to want us to ask this, so
yeah.
I'm going to ask it. Are you a collector of any? I mean, because we're toy collectors big time, and nerd stuff and art and all of that. Do you do anything like that?
I wouldn't class myself as a collector, but I have a room. You know, I've got my cave of man. You know. And on the wall, I've got, you know, classic movie posters of like, I've got like Bram Stoker's Dracula, I've got Evil Dead 2, I've got The Shining. And then I have like a wall, which back in my own flat used to be, you know, a massive, it was everywhere. But I have stuff of just like cool things that I've picked up along the way, you know, be it action figures, props from set, you know, DVDs or books that I really like, games, you know. So I think at the moment there's a Joker from the Arkham games on there. There's a few wrestling action figures. There's a bunch of N64 games, a bunch of SNES games. Shenmue was a game that I loved on the Dreamcast. There's loads of stuff on that there. So yeah, I've got a few things, you know, and now I've got a Beastman and a Hulk, you know.
Yeah. So it just dawned on me, you are a gorgeous, successful version of us. So that's
well, welcome to our tribe. You can be our leader.
I'm sitting here this entire time looking at you and listening to you going, it is an absolute crime against humanity that he's hiding behind a Hulk face or behind a Beast Man. Like, put his face on camera. Damn, this guy's hot. So
it's out there sometimes. You get to see me die in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
For instance, talking about being the only name on the call sheet for Spider-Man, like, so all of the scenes that were motion captured were the Hulk. Was that all you, or is that a team of people like you?
No, that was all me. It's so basically how it works in motion capture is there's a lot of steps and a lot of people involved. So generally on set, you'll have a performer. Sometimes they're just a stand-in. Sometimes they're a stunt performer who generally acts as a reference point. And this is so that the other actors have someone to interact with. The cameras have something to line up on. And you know, that's what they're there for. And they're wearing a suit, which sometimes, so there's two different types. There's a reference suit and there's the motion capture suit. The reference suit you wear on set it picks up light and shadow, so that when it comes down to them, you know, doing the character, they know exactly what should be lit and what should be dark. When you see the motion capture suits, which is like, it's got like the Tetris blocks all over it, you know, that picks up motion, but it's limited because when you're in a motion capture studio, you have over 100 cameras all looking at you, and you have the dots like everywhere, you know. So it gets all of the movement data, no matter how small, it picks it up. When you're doing it on set, you have maximum 3 cameras. And so you get a bit of data from the suit itself, but it's not quite good enough to just chuck in a movie, you know. With Masters, they had a stunt performer on set. I think his name was Clayton, and he stood in and did the Beastman stuff on set. And then I think for Hulk, there was another guy who did 1 or 2 things, but it didn't really work with a performer, you know. The data wasn't good, and they couldn't quite they're like, it needs to be CGI, you know. That is they then finish shooting, they go through production, and then it's then handed off to a different visual effects production house. Now, the one I work with a lot is Industrial Light and Magic, but there's a few others. There's Weta and Rodeo. Like, there's quite a few big houses, and generally work on a film is split between the houses. It's not like ILM does everything and Rodeo does everything. It's generally all of them do everything, but they have particular scenes. ILM did Beastman for the motorway scene, and they bring me in to do that. And that's when we literally go through the storyboard of the scene, and we look at, and they've drawn out every single shot that's going to be in the movie, like hand drawn, you know. And then we just recreate it, and we play with it, and we figure out how Beastman's going to move, you know. And I generally come to set with my own mental mood board of like things that I want to get in there or have a go at. Being a gamer, I think I've said this in a previous interview, but I was playing Resident Evil 2 at the time, so I was like, oh, so he's a beast man. He's a bit orangutan, and we were told, think ape, but don't go too far down that road. And because of like the Andy Serkis stuff, and whenever everyone thinks of mocap, they think gorilla. I try to avoid it as much as possible. So it was that, and then I was like, oh well, he's got these claws. He's a beast, a bit like the Lickers, So the Lickers. So when he dives, mentally, that's what I'm thinking of. When he does the big tackle, and he primes himself forward and leaps. That's the action I was doing, And then as well as that, it's like he's a man, he's got a bit of this sort of brawling, like he could go at any moment energy. And there's a pro wrestler called John Moxley who has that sort of attitude and that sway. And I was like, oh, the Moxley would work well in this. So that's generally how it all sort of comes together. That data is then taken by the incredible animators and the VFX artists who then create the character, And you then also have Gary who does the voice, and that's sort of filtered in there somewhere as well. And the end result is this amazing Frankenstein's monster of all these different people at the top of their game creating these amazing computer-generated characters. It's never just CGI magic in a computer. Like a lot of people look at like CGI and go, "Oh, he's CGI. He doesn't matter."
Yeah.
It's a voice actor, but it's all computer. It's like, no, in big characters that need to move with some sort of, human-like movement, there's generally always a motion capture actor behind there. It's just, as the general public never really hear about it. I think it's because it muddies the waters. It's a lot easier to say, like, take the Hulk, for example. It's much easier to say Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk than say Mark Ruffalo and this motion capture performer and this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I get that, but that's kind of lame.
So Beastman is my favorite villain in Masters, and I gotta say that, and this is a couple second scene, but I think my favorite scene in that movie is when Beastman's on top of the car and he rips the door off and he just throws it in the air.
Oh yeah, man!
When you just whip the door straight up in the air. It's so animalistic. It's like I think of my animals at home just making a mess for no reason and just whipping stuff. And I don't know why. The first time I saw that, I was like, that just made me smile right there. Just that one little few seconds. Were you directed to do that, or was that something you just did?
Yeah. So it's how we did that was we had the thing with mocap is you can make anything in a mocap studio. Anything can be anything. All you need is a hard surface. So for example, when I'm jumping from car to car, I'm just jumping on the floor, like just pretending I'm jumping from car to car. And then the moment when I land on the roof, I did that on a gym pilo box. So I jump and I land, and it has a bit of a oof, We then moved to like a big metal table, a big like hard table that can support my weight. And I can interact with like it's the top of the police car. And when we're doing the door thing, that's just me with my hands hooked underneath like, the ledge of the table like that, just yanking it. And up it goes, And the funny thing is that the markers they put on your fingers, the way they do it at ILM is they put the marker on and then they tape it with like plasters, And like every single time we did that take, I go boom, and I just watch and see all my finger markers just fly up into the air. But I just hit cut, and I'd be like, sorry.
Oops.
But yeah, that was a laugh. I love that shot. That was a really fun one to do.
And when we did the review of that movie, that was I'm not a Motu guy. I never really have been. Thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and we talked about that scene, and we talked about the way that Beastman moves, and we talk about kind of the idea of the old Filmation cartoon and the way that they're built, and the ape-like aspect of it, and some of those little nuances that really kind of brought that character to life in those scenes. It's very cool to understand that the actor behind that like, hey, I came in with some ideas of, and the referencing of a lichen and the referencing of that stuff of, like, I'm thinking back to that scene and going, I can see that. I can see those direct references as you kind of explain them. It's super cool to see kind of how that jambalaya of all these different things thrown together kind of brought that character to life, man. That is very, very cool.
So now, just because we love Masters of the Universe, we're a Masters of the Universe podcast, but I mean, the Hulk. So
the Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk.
So what I'm sure some of this will be obvious, but what is your main difference like between your Beast Man, a giant hulking character, and then you're the Hulk, which is the hulking character because he's called the Hulk, and what's the big difference? I mean, obviously he walks more upright, I guess, but what's your approach to the Hulk?
Well, with Hulk, we actually tried quite a few different things, because you have the I'll try and go not as spoiler light as I can, but you have the smart Hulk, who we've had since Endgame, and he has a different way of moving than the Savage version. So first thing is, okay, you have Hulk as we know him now, where he's just big, he smashes, like if he's bringing it down, he's going to squat with it, and he moves like a power lifter almost, but he's he's not manic, he's not he hasn't like lost his mind, and he's still quite controlled. When he turned Savage, originally, like we were they weren't quite sure what they wanted with it. They knew they wanted it to be different. They knew it's this idea that Smart Hulk is gone, he's Savage again, but they want something new, but not something that is a million miles away from what we've had in the past. And they gave us these like this artwork that people had done, and some of it was weird. Some of it was like he was like hunched down with his arms out, almost like he was in a downward dog yoga position, and it was like he'd move on all fours, almost like he'd gotten so big that he couldn't move properly. There was some that he was like frantic and shaking, and there was some where he was very still and it was almost Shakespearean, and he moved more like a hawk, and so we tried a lot of different things, and what we finally sort of fell upon that really, really worked was just uber aggressive. It wasn't, it's out of control in a way, but in a way that has like, I have one goal and that's to kill you. Nothing else matters because I'm so big. And the thing we did with when he's webbed up and all this, the rubble from the building is pulling him back. They literally just got ropes and roped me up, and I had like the crew just holding back, and it's just me just fighting against these ropes, And they were like, "Yeah, it's good. Could you give us a vocal while you're doing it?" And just And weirdly, the vocal just puts a little bit of extra, like stuff into it. Which was then really, really nice when we did the softer moments at the end of the fight, when he sort of regains himself, And there's that self-reflection moment of like, oh, I am the monster, But yeah, that was a real fun to do, and we did some really cool stuff. That was because initially when he turns as well, that was a lot more brutal. It was a bit more like American Werewolf, like the transformation into Savage was painful. It was like his jaw was unclicking, and his eyes were and then there was bits in the fight that were quite brutal, Like there was a bit where like he smashes Spider-Man down and he breaks a water vein in the floor, and then Hulk like stamps on his chest and is trying to drown him in the water, And then I think we did that, and then we got the note back like the next day. We went in just like, it's a bit. He's still an Avenger at the end of the day. Not him trying to, I'm not trying mountain people,
So all of those facial expressions is you too?
Well, no, the facial expressions, there's two different types of motion capture. You have motion capture, you have performance capture. Now, they are filming me the entire time, so they can use my facial expressions as, oh, that's a good expression, but it's not exactly my facial expression, because in order to do that, they need to put a head-mounted camera on me. and that is something where it's literally like a helmet, and then something that comes out to about here, and I'll have the camera there. Problem is that you then can't do the physical movements with the camera there, because the moment you do anything that will shake the camera, you lose all the data. So generally, even when you are doing a performance capture job that requires a head cam, you'll do 2 passes at it. Once where you'll do the acting beats and you do the head stuff. And then when it comes to physical stuff, you'll just mime it. And then you'll take the head rig off, and then you'll fully do the physical stuff. And then also, I think they did the facial stuff with Mark as well, because Mark was there on set to do some of the transformation stuff and do his scene in between the 2 moments of Hulk. And then I think as well, because they changed the ending of this fight quite a few times. We kept coming back to redo it and redo it and redo it, because it was like, oh, we gave that to a test audience, they didn't like it, okay, we'll do it again, and each time they'd go to Mark where he was, and go, oh, sorry, Mark, can we get some more facial data off you, and they'd stick the dots on him and put a camera in his face and go, okay, this is what you're doing now.
That is nutty.
Very interesting.
I never think about like all that type of stuff. I'm like, well, Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk, so. And I never thought beyond that. And I'm like, oh no, there's an actual human who's probably, I don't think Mark Ruffalo can do that stuff.
Well,
that's a guy.
That's what I said. Like, I did my first con the other day, and this guy came up to me, and I was like, hey brother, how you doing? And he's like, I thought Mark Ruffalo was the Hulk. And I'm like, Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk, but I do the physical stuff. And he's like, does Mark not do the physical stuff? I was like, well, Mark's great, but he's getting on a bit now. I don't think he's smashing it quite like he used to, if you know what I mean. That's why I'm there, And he goes, oh yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. Hi, how you doing?
Now we can be friends.
In the vernacular that you use in your accent, like, it's getting on a bit now. Like, you guys even have a nice way to say, dude's getting old. You guys even make that sound pleasant. Like, he's getting on a bit now.
we're terribly polite in those English.
So you said that was your first con that you did?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was the first. I've got another one coming up in Germany in a few weeks. But that was my first time going as a con as like a guest, and that was a blast. I had a great time, I mean, if I could just do that like every day, I would,
I was going to say,
on a side note, what do you have going on March 20th of 2027? You should come to Michigan and be at our con, man.
Man, you just give my agent a call, man. I'm like, she deals with all that stuff, but yeah, man, I'd love to.
Well, I'm sitting here too. Like, you get, you said you're, obviously late 30s. We're all early 40s, and you kind of get to a point in life where you get 40s. Full. Oh yeah, you guys are late for. I was trying to be nice.
Okay, thank you.
They're just so you know, James, they're getting on a bit. You know what I mean? And you kind of come to this point in your life where you're blessed, and you have the big family. You've got these great friends, and you realize that there's only so many new friend slots, because you're like, I've got all these great people. Like, I don't waste my time on people I don't want to spend time with. I've spent the last 40 minutes going, I want to hang out with this guy.
Yeah.
So how do we get him to Michigan? Because like, we need to have a beer or a seltzer or a bubbly water, whatever it is you drink, tea. I don't care. We'll figure it out. But you just, like I said, you kind of one of the biggest compliments that we've always gotten for our other show that we do is, the listeners are like, I feel like I'm just sitting around with my buddies having a conversation, and you kind of totally fit that whole thing that we have going on. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to message your agent. We're going to see what it's going to take to get James Unsworth to Mesquite-Con in 2027.
Yeah,
that's a promise.
Let's do it, brother. Happy days.
I'll just say, yeah, we got we're going to a MotuCon next month, which is Motu Fest. PowerCon presents Motu Fest. So there's at least 2 solid Masters of the Universe cons in the United States. The other one being in California, which is Motuniverse. The third one, which we have never put together ever once, but we keep talking about, is Potu Fest.
Right.
And that's in my backyard. So we're just come on out. We're gonna hang out. We'll do our thing.
I will tell.
Let's do it.
I will say, because of you, I think we're all going to be walking around Motu Fest in a couple weeks a little bit taller.
Yeah.
Because I think every introduction now is, "Hi, I'm Pete. Have you met Beastman?" "Oh, I have." So they're going to have to widen the doors just to get us through, man.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy for you to do that. All good.
How long, the time wise, how long did you spend working on Beastman for Motu?
It wasn't loads. Like Hulk, we spent a long time on because like we were doing that. I think over the course of like a year. You know, not consistently, but it's like you come in, you do like a handful of days, and then you go away, and a month later you come back. You know, and but Beastman we sort of all banged out in under a week. I think. You know, I might be getting my days wrong, but yeah, it wasn't that long at all. And the reason is because of what I said before. It's not like we don't need a motorway with 100 extras running down it. We don't need to work with the schedule of the main actors. It's just me in a suit in a space with the cameras and the void, just doing my thing. And then one thing that we do is after we've done the very specific scenes that they've said, hey, we want these motion captured, and that was the motorway stuff and the throne room stuff. After we've done that, we then do what we call generic animation, where you'll just get me in character, walking, running, jogging, idling, fighting, scrapping, just doing a lot of generic stuff that they can then go, that if they want Beastman in this scene, they can just go, oh, we have something for that. There you go.
So that's where we're getting the ones where he's like kind of just sort of on the corner of the screen,
he's just
kind of
sort
walking
of like
in and
background, and he just sort of like walks in. Like that's still my walking animation. But we didn't specifically go and do that scene, And then I think there's the scene at the end when he fights Kringer. To my knowledge, that was complete true CGI. There's no human element to that stuff.
Okay.
Then Clayton may have done a jerk pull on the bit when he gets the whip and he does a pull.
Right.
He might have been there doing that, but I wasn't on set, so I wouldn't know. But as far as I know, it's all CGI, that stuff. So
the whole like throne room where like he's on his knees and getting pushed down and all that stuff, that's you?
Yeah, man, that was me, and that was funny because when we filmed that, it had a much different. It felt different than what ended up being in the film. Like originally, he was in the film, he's just waiting, and Skeletor comes in and he starts pawning, oh, the Skeletor, and this sort of stuff. Yeah. When I did it, he enters the throne room, and it was almost like like I was just told, oh, just how they speak, oh, father, let's just make up some stuff like that. So I'm just making up some dialogue. Walking down like, oh, Skeletor, vilest in the universe, master of deception, and just sort of making my way down, And when he tells me to go on my knees, obviously we didn't know what Leto's voice was going to sound like, So we were just going off the old school Skeletor, where the director's like, on your knees, lower, lower. And it's like me acting like, oh, let's like even lower, like okay, But then that's been adapted into this amazing scene where he's got his staff and he's pushing it down, and emotion, even though the intention was different, still works great in that scene, And Gary's voice was so good for it,
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Was really, really unexpected. I honestly didn't know that he was going to talk at all, because I mean, you have that whole scene, of course, on the highway or whatever, and he's just roaring and throwing stuff around and being you and cool and stuff. And then later on he's like, violent, villainous Skeletor. You're like, wait, this dude talks.
I mean,
all right.
I'm glad he does. And Gary did such a good job. And me and Gary have been in touch, and Gary's a lovely, lovely guy. But I'm not gonna lie, when I did find out that there was a voice actor, I was a bit like,
that was really just right. Me. You're like, I am too.
yeah, exactly. And and then I mean, Gary got the end of credit, and I was like, fine, cool, I get it,
Snubbed, man.
So just to nerd out a little bit, when Beastman jumps on the door of the ship when it's taken on, kind of hangs on.
Yeah.
You want a pull-up bar or something?
Yeah, that was this big table I was telling you about again, and it's funny because in the shot, the storyboard that we did was that he jumps and he grabs on and he's just pulling, and they were like, "Can you do that on that table?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And me overestimating my own weight, is I jumped on and then my legs swung underneath it, and I sort of went like, "Oh, okay," But then that's what they use in the movie.
Oh, it looks great. Looks fantastic.
So, again, it works. So even like times when I'm looking at it going, I sort of messed that up a little bit. Sometimes in terms of the movement data, it works fine.
Happy little accident,
Yeah,
right?
because it's kind of it would be. I mean, to have a little bit of an out of control kind of look, kind of like
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
natural. It's very natural looking.
That's generally how I move anyway, like a little bit out of control.
So good. Let's see. I had some stuff here. So going back, so obviously we know that this movie didn't really do gangbusters in the theaters. I want to say around 114 million or so compared to this is all estimations, 170 to 200 million. So didn't do great in the theaters. It's been around number 1 on Amazon Prime for the last 3 weeks or so, which is fantastic. I want to know what the kind of general buzz was before the movie had come out. What were you told?
I mean,
you're gonna be famous, or what's going on?
No. Especially not from motion capture performers. We're sort of bought in as almost like hired guns sometimes. It's because we're not bought in by production. We're bought in by the VFX studio.
Okay.
It's production says to Industrial Light and Magic, we want a beast man. Give us a beast man. And they go, we'll give you a beast man. And then they call me or my agent and go, hey, can James come do the beast man? And so we come, we do the beast man. They work on it. They create this amazing animation. And they are, the people at ILM are the best at this, and then they get back to production and go, there's the beast man, So and this is why a lot of motion cap performers, we don't get end of movie credits because we fit under the umbrella of visual effects. And each sort of department in a movie is only given a certain amount of credits sometimes, like in stunts, for example, in Mission, Mission Impossible might have 300 stunt performers working on it per movie. But in terms of the credits, they might only be allowed 50.
Oh, okay.
So then it comes down to who's done the most amount of days on set. So not getting credited isn't new to me. It's happened a lot of times. But yeah, I was hoping it would do well. And everything that I saw, the trailer did well. The trailer looked good, and then I saw the movie, and I thought the movie was great. But I think in general, Hollywood's changing. With streaming, with everything being more expensive, including the cinema, it's the industry's trying to figure out where it is, because how is it financially viable that a film like Masters of the Universe spends hundreds of millions of dollars and doesn't make anywhere near that back, but then a horror film like Obsession is a lot less money to make, less than $1 million, and makes near $500 million, So the industry's trying to get it, and I think the industry was sort of thinking, man, we need to have less of these blockbusters because they're not selling. People aren't coming to the cinema. And then the Odyssey and Spider-Man came out and absolute gangbusters. And Hollywood's like, never mind, more blockbusters.
Yeah. Right, exactly. I think, it's confusing kind of everybody, because we're like, there's these, all these big movies and even Supergirl, like that didn't do so hot either. And they just planned to be these huge things and great summer 2026. And then it's like, no, it's just like a couple of these indie movies did really damn good. And then Spider-Man.
You know what I think it is? I think it's people turn up for a film that's made with love. The problem I think I have with Masters is that the people who would go see it, like people at my age and your age, went to go see it. The younger generation have no attachment to the franchise. Right. They didn't, Where Amazon designed it basically to go on their platform. You know, I think their plan was like, we don't really mind if this underperforms at the box office because our goal is to launch a franchise, which I think they've successfully done. The toys have sold really, really well. The film's doing really, really well on Amazon. It's got a lot of eyes on it and generally very good reviews. So I think if they do get greenlit for a Motu 2, people will turn up at the cinema.
That's kind of where I'm thinking. I'm hoping.
I've said this on the show before, but just, I mean, since you don't watch our show, I when we went, I have 2 daughters. One's 18, one's 22. Both of them have boyfriends. When we went to Masters of the Universe opening night, I paid for my wife, I paid for the boyfriends, I paid for my daughters. We all went and saw this movie. The 2 boyfriends don't know anything about it, but one of them, like, he saw it. He was like, I really enjoyed that. He went home and brought his whole family, his mom, his dad, and to go see the Masters of the Universe movie. And then when it came out on Amazon, we all watched the Masters of the Universe movie. So, I mean, I see where the dang thing can get legs, you know, because of that, it, you know, it was, everybody had fun who watched it. It just was hard to get the younger generation there in their butts in the seats to watch it. So, like you said, hopefully being on Amazon and you don't have to go anywhere and you don't have to pay for it.
And they technically didn't show man die. So,
I mean, well, exactly. You know, it was, I mean, all my mates who saw it and they all watched it on Amazon, all of them said the same thing to me. And they all said, we wish we'd seen this in the cinema.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm glad that I took my mum to go see it. And I think it was the first time me and my mum had been to the cinema together since Phantom Menace, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, a long time. And she had a great time, you know.
And that's gotta be so cool from a pride standpoint of sitting in that theater on the big screen and being like, that's my baby boy. You know, like, let's be honest, moms are great. You could have crapped the bed and been in a turd of a movie and she would have been there with a smile on her face because that was her baby boy. But for it to be an amazing movie like that, especially one to see on the big screen, that's got to be super cool, man.
It was so funny because like when we booked tickets to go see it, the cinema was pretty much sold out and we could only get a seat on either end of one row. And so we got there early and I sort of went up to the people who were sat there. I was like, hey guys, do you mind if everyone just budges up one so me and my mum can sit together? You know, and I'm like, normally I've got a beard. My beard was long at the time. You know, I'm sort of going up to strangers like, hello, mate. I want to sit with my mum. Can you budge up? You know, and everyone sort of said yes, and everyone was really, really kind. And I sat down, and Mum was like, "You should tell them you're the Beast Man." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to say. Go on, I bet they'll really be happy." I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure they would, but no, they'll probably look at me like I'm mad." You know, it's like, "I'm the Beast Man. It's me." You know, look. You know?
Like, who's this crazy dude?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like it doesn't work with the Hulk either. Like, you know, I saw it like, you know, see kids running around in Hulk t-shirts, like, I'm the Hulk. That's like, get away from that, man. No.
Yeah, I think that would be probably harder to sell to the kids because no, you're not. I've seen that guy.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
So, what kind of research did you, or did you not have to do any research to play Beastman? What was your reference material if you did?
I did a little bit. I went back and watched a few episodes. I watched the episode where Skeletor kicks him out, and then he goes and hangs out with his like tribe, and like, oh, this is no good, you know. And then he ends up like, you know, nearly like, capturing Prince Adam and that sort of stuff. And finally, Skeletor lets him back in, and that was a good sort of idea about it because, you know, yeah, he has this monstrous appearance, but he's just like, you know, backhanded by Skeletor so often, you know. And run down, and I was just like, oh, okay, there's a lot to draw on there. That's cool.
That's awesome. Have you since like watched any more, just out of like curiosity?
I've gone back and I've sort of watched like little bits. You know, I wouldn't like. It's the thing is, I've got a 2.5-year-old kid. You know, so it's like I don't have much time to watch anything. You know,
yeah.
It's like it's all these games are coming out that I really want to sort of really dive into, and just nah. You know, it's I have maybe like an hour a night, you know.
There you go.
I'm sure I will at some point because I love fandom. I love lore, you know. So it's something that somewhere down the line I will get to.
Awesome.
You've mentioned gaming a couple of times. You find yourself alone, and you're like, I'm going to jump on. What game are you firing up? What are you playing right now when you find yourself with the time?
So at the moment, I'm finally getting to the Final Fantasy VII remake and remaster that they've done, because I've got a Switch too, and they released them all on the Switch, and so I'm like, okay, so that's my main one I'm playing at the moment. Waiting for GTA, waiting for the new Fable. I'm a big From Software dude, like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Elden Ring. That's my jam. And Elden Ring is getting released on the Switch at the end of the month. So if that works, fingers crossed,
right?
not buggy as hell, I'll be getting that to play that game all over again, because I must have put like over 200 hours into Elden Ring.
That's awesome.
That is super cool.
That is really cool.
So, I guess now you got anything on the burner? You probably can't tell us you probably can't tell us what it is, but do you got things going?
Yeah, there's a few things going. There's a few things at ILM that I can't talk about. There's one that's ongoing, which will be very cool when it comes out. That'll be a lot of fun. I still do theatre. Like I've worked at the Royal Opera House as one of their sword fighters and one of their actors for like since I graduated from uni. So over 20 years. And I've got a production with them next year of Tosca, and then I've also just been hired by the English National Opera to do a couple of operas there. Another Tosca and a production of Ariana Matters. So that'll be me starting that end of September into the West End. I love it because it's just good commute. I go, I rehearse, I do a show, I come home, put my girl to bed. So happy days.
So as a guy who does a lot of screen violence, I mean, like you find yourself in a bar and somebody gets rough, do you feel pretty confident? You're
oh no. I'm destroyed. It's funny as well because so in the UK we have a thing called the British Stunt Register. I'm not a member of it, but everyone on the stunt register knows a martial art of some way, of some form. Be it like kickboxing, Muay Thai, BJJ, whatever. Something that makes them a legitimate badass. When I started to get into screen stuff, I dabbled in a few of these. I dabbled in Muay Thai, I dabbled in BJJ, judo, and nothing was quite fitting with me. And then I found a pro wrestling gym, and that really, really clicked for me because it's performative, it gets you fit, it hurts, and it's fighting, So that was where I sort of went. So my style of fighting is very pro wrestling. If I were to get into a fight in a club, I'd probably fake hit someone and try to give them a rock bottom. Right. Maybe it works in a street fight. Probably doesn't.
I bet you could probably play the part so intimidating. It wouldn't come to blows.
It wouldn't come to that.
Right.
Well, that's what generally works for me. Is like it's like pretends like I can act like a badass very, very easily. It's like I can do the it's like we can go, but like if you can be the biggest mistake you've ever made, mate. You're be drinking your food for 6 months when I'm done with you. You're gonna be like picking your teeth out of the car. And we don't want that, and then they'll go away, and I'll be like, oh, thank God for that.
Woo! I did it.
And I'm somewhat similar. Like my area of expertise in fighting is provoking a fight, is like pissing someone off enough to get them to want to fight, and then that's where my skill set ends. So I can just
Get him, Steve.
I got this great vision of you, and you're in the bar with your mates, and all of a sudden something goes down. And you immediately say something, and then you look to your right and you wait for the entrance music for one of your other mates to come running down to help you, and they just don't show up. And now you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Hit my music. And like the thing is, like, I don't get it wrong. Like, I can fight. You know, it was like my thing when I first got into stunts as well, because like was part of the pro wrestling thing was, you know, growing up in a small town in the north. You know, people fight. You know, like, you know, there was a night of the year that was lovingly called Black Eye Friday because that was the night everyone went out and got a black eye. You know, so you know, so I could, like, you know, street fight. You know. But nothing that was like, you know, martial, you know, nothing like, you know, like Scott Adkins or anything like that. But the style that I found worked for me in terms of stunts was then learning how to do that safely, you know, and do it in a way that's not going to hurt anyone, you know. So when people ask me, like, what's my fighting style, it's brawler, it's pub fighter, you know, and it's acting the fight rather than being a legit badass who, you know, could, you know, wrap you up in holds, or, you know, or like kicks. My kicks are dreadful. You never get me to kick anything, you know.
Awesome.
Man, gorgeous, successful, and a lover, not a fighter. You are the total. That's the real threat. I know you said acting, singing, dancing. That's the real triple threat, man. You got to know.
So if there's you get a dream job, you can be anyone you want to be. What would be like the franchise? What would be the role of a lifetime for you?
Oh man, I'm still holding out for Jedi or Sith. You know, like, you know, it's I'm a Star Wars kid. You know, like my fandom is, you know, like it runs really deep with that one. Like, I was doing an interview for a Star Wars fan site recently, or Disney, or some sort of fan site, and they asked me who's my favorite Star Wars character, and I was like, oh, you're going. Like, I'm going to say a bunch of names. You're not going to have any idea who they are. You know, like Corran Horn. Do you know who Corran Horn is? He was in the Rogue Squadron books, you know. And like, so it would be something like that, you know. Like, I've been offered Star Wars a few times to, like, be, you know, a random, like, background dude. But we have a thing in stunts called getting burned. And that basically means that if the camera sees you die, or the camera sees you, that's what you are. You know, you can't then come and do something else. You know, so if the camera sees me in Star Wars as a guy at a bar going, ooh, you know, or, you know, as a stormtrooper who gets shot, that's forever what I'll be in Star Wars for. And Star Wars means so much to me that I'm like, no, if I'm going to do Star Wars, I want to be someone. I want to have my action. I want to have an action figure. You know. Yeah. That's what I want, you know. If I do something that gets me an action figure, bang, let's go, you know. Like, you know, but until then, like, that's my white whale right there.
I'm going to tell you right now, I would put your action figure on my shelf.
Like,
I'm like it's an exclusive at a con. Like, I'm sleeping in the lobby at 3 a.m. to make sure I get one. I'm a fan, dude. I am a fan.
Oh man, bless.
That's awesome. So I noticed when we're texting back and forth, you're giving me the cool devil horns here and there.
Horns,
and I watched your demo reels too, and we got some heavier music. So what gets you pumped up, man? What kind of music you listen to?
Oh man, just like metal, rock. You know, like I'm quite big into metalcore at the moment. Like there's like bands like Bring Me the Horizon, Motionless in White. Architects, you know, something that's just like there's a what was it? It's I think you call it bleh music, you know.
Yeah.
You know that I really dig. But you know, I like all sorts. I go for different moods. Like a few years ago, I went for a big, like, it was really sunny, you know, and it was a really nice summer, and I got really back into pop punk for a bit, you know, and was like back on my Blink 182. Was like back on my all-time low, you know. Machine Gun Kelly randomly dropped maybe the best pop punk album I've heard in years, you know, and I was like, how? You know, I didn't get it, you know. Since then, it's gone again, but that first pop punk album was really good. And then then I've also like got the classic stuff. Like, I love my Megadeth, you know, I love my Slayer, and like, it's basically anything with like that my head will bang to, you know.
So, some chugs in there. Yeah, you're in.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
love it. I'm the musician of the group, so I just really had to find out what you're into. So.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was recutting my motion capture reel to include Hulk and Beastman footage, and I was saying to my wife, I was like, I need to think of a good bitching song to go for this, and she was like, you need to not make it a rock song. And I was like, no, because it's that's the energy that I'm trying to bring. She was like, yeah, but it'll be stronger if you don't do that. And I was like, all right, I'll try and think of something a bit more dramatic, you know. And then I was playing Death Stranding 2 at the time, and that opens with a song called -51 by a guy called Woodkid, and it is so eerie. And I was like, oh, that works. Oh, okay. Let's see if that works to the footage. And I played it, and I was like, "Yep, the wife is right again."
They always are. Damn it!
They always are. I don't know how they do it. You know.
I would say, yeah, I do. I'll do like I won't show her the music stuff, but I do some art stuff, and she's always the first person. I'm like, all right, let me have it. She'll look at it. Yeah, that arm is terrible. Like, you need the perspective, and I'm like, I hate no. And then, like, yeah, 5 minutes later, I'm changing it all. It's like, damn it, she knows me too well.
Yeah.
So you get the nod, and it's your first night pro wrestling, and you're coming out for the first time. What is your entrance song? What is bringing James out to the ring?
Man, I actually have one of these because when I trained in wrestling, I did a couple of matches, you know. Nothing that's like, you know, big grand style match. It was like a rumble, and you know, because like the first thing any wrestler will do once he gets onto the circuit is he'll be a contestant in a rumble. But I think I chose CKY, Rio Bravo, you know, and give it a listen. That's a dirty track. It's a really good, and it's really good for an entrance theme as well, because it's got good stomping energy, you know. And that's the thing with me. I'm not gonna run to the ring. I'm not gonna be hyped up with energy. It's gonna be very, very slow and just a bit like, you know, taking everything in. And it's good heel music as well.
Right. Perfect. Now you mentioned something about the mocap suit earlier. You know, your finger stuff flew off and all that. Like, are the mocap suits like are they comfortable? Like,
they're fine. It's basically, it's like, you know, Velcro, you know, it's basically you're wearing like a suit of Velcro, you know, because it's the suit is just the fluffy side, and then the markers are the itchy side, you know, and they literally just put markers on every single joint. So it'll be elbow, bang, bang, shoulders, bang, 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 you know, solar plexus, basically any part of your body that moves, there's generally at least one marker, sometimes two. And that is just so the cameras, basically, they pick up light. So, and the balls, they've got like this reflective tape on them. So anytime it moves, the camera can detect what's happening, you know. Okay. And when you're in the void, it picks up everything, you know. And it's mocap's very interesting because it's like, I've seen amazing actors go into the void and give amazing performances that on stage or on screen would be Oscar worthy. But the skeleton, in terms of the data that we see, is completely dead because their performance is here. You know, in motion capture, you need to think about breath. You need to think about the breathing and what are my shoulders doing? How do I make this skeleton look alive if I'm not doing anything, you know? And the same thing with, I've seen stunt performers go in there and they want to do a rec that works really, really well for screen because there's a magic trick that you can hide behind the camera. You know? Like, you know, I'll fall and pretend to break my neck, but I'll actually catch myself on this hand, you know, and the camera doesn't see it because of where it's placed. In a mocap studio, you can't do that move because the cameras see everything. The only way to do that move is to just eat it on your neck. You know? Which again, you can do, but odds are it's like, oh, let's choose a different way to die, you know.
Well, it's nice to have choices, you know, of how you go out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, so I mean, so mocap fits in this amazing like trifecta point between acting, like screen acting, theater acting, and stunts, where everything's big but not too big. It's just alive, you know, and it's physical. Like, it's why a lot of pure motion cap performers are stunties, you know, because they know how to move, they know how to throw their bodies around, they know they all have like skills. You know, it's like I always say to people, like people say, "How do I become a motion capture performer?" And I'm like, just get your bag of skills brimming, and then you can do motion capture. Because a lot of people think that they need to go to a motion capture training school, and like virtually no performers that I know who regularly work in the industry have been to one. It's just that they're just skilled at different things.
Interesting.
I can imagine being like, "Hey James, how do I get into motion capture?" And the first thing he says is, "First off, don't be ugly." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to compete with that."
It's fine.
So do you ever like get like, I don't like self-conscious like before you do anything like how many people are like there watching you besides all the cameras and all that? Like, is it hard to sometimes get in there?
Yeah, I mean, like you'll have the other performers, you'll have the tech team who are like, running the data and running the computers, and then generally there's like a guy overseeing the shoot, and then you'll have a director, and then you'll also have the clients who've booked you, who are running the game. The best way to not feel self-conscious when doing this sort of stuff is just to do it with 100%, because the moment you're a bit unsure about yourself, everyone can read that, and it makes your performance weaker, And the moment you do something wrong and you go, oh, sorry, could I do that again? That's the moment everyone knows you've done something wrong. I like it to do a guitar solo, like musician. If I'm doing a guitar solo and I mess up a note and go, oh, sorry, I did that. Can we start again? Everyone knows I've made a mistake. If I just continue, no one knows I've made a mistake. Only I know I've made a mistake, And it's the same about motion capture. Like, you just need to throw yourself into it. And the best skill you can have as a motion capture actor is being adaptable and be able to jump into things very, very quickly, and be able to do it 100%, because there's always a lot to do and you don't really have time to sort of build your confidence up,
Right.
You just go for it,
Let's say you kind of got to be like pretty confident. I mean, because I'm sure you're, and even if they don't record your voice or anything like that, I'm sure you're up and screaming and doing your thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So
yeah, but also it helps. Like, if I'm doing a shoot and someone tells me to roar and I go, that affects my physicality. But if someone tells me to roar and I go, roar, that also comes out in the physicality and it looks better,
Yeah.
So
it's
always
genuine for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just do it, man. It's like, you're a professional. Do the gig,
So how do you handle scenes where you're interacting with another human being? Like when Tila's on top of is Beastman on top of Tila and she slams the door on him?
Well, that's all like, so it's there's different ways to do it. With Beastman, that's all just me taking my own reaction, like it was me rugby tackling a mannequin or pile of boxes to get the tackle down. When I've got her and we're rolling on the floor, like the roll is just me just pretending to roll, and then when I've got her, that's just me pretending, one arm bang, one arm down, and then they can animate around that. In terms of like, the car hit again, that's just me like, what's that? Because
Did you see that? Did you see that? I don't know what you did, but that just totally happened on the screen. That was awesome.
Yeah, but I work in stunts. This is what we do.
You should try a job in that.
And so that's how we do it. When we did Hulk and the bits where I'm throwing Spider-Man around, or I've got like my hand on his face, they have like a mannequin and a t-shirt that's like filled with different boxes, so I can grab that and I can bang that around. So when I've got him by his legs and I'm beating him on the floor, it's just this mannequin going, boom, boom, boom. I trashed this mannequin so badly a few times, but yeah, no, it's there's always something to do with. And then also with Hulk as well, I think after we'd done a few shoots, they realized it's beneficial to have another performer in there to do some of the Spider-Man stuff. So they then brought this other performer in, this guy, Ty, really, really great guy, really great performer, very, very talented, to come and do the Spider-Man stuff. And he came and did like the flippy stuff, which then when you put that with the footage of Tom and Tom's stunt doubles, then creates this whole Spider-Man performance. With me, it's a lot easier because Hulk is 100% CGI and it's just me, you know. But yeah, no, there's always something you can do to interact with. You know, it's never just, you know, I mean, apart from when it is like that reaction just then, you know, it's a mix.
Perfect.
That is so cool, man. I know his time is getting
Yeah,
close.
we got a couple
I could keep
minutes.
doing this forever.
Yeah, we can. I know 5-10 minutes is cool.
And one thing I will say, James, is I never in my life have I been so quiet on a podcast. Normally
That's true.
normally these guys are not nearly as captivating as you are, so I have to like fill the void. I've got to be the guy. I appreciate you giving me a break today and being great, so that I didn't have to be the only guy that was worth a shit. You know what I mean? So,
Oh, bless her. Yeah, I talk a lot. You know, it's my wife always digs me out because like it's like we'll go meet some of her friends, you know, and like, you know, and I'll be chatting to them, blah, blah. Oh, hey man, so yeah, what game are you playing at the moment? And he'll go, oh, I'm playing this game. It's really fun. I'm like, nice. I'm playing this. You know, I just talk at it for hours. You know, so yeah, that's one of my flaws.
Only to some, not to us. No, this is really cool, man. I seriously really appreciate you reaching out, man, because I don't know. I realized I knew nothing about this. I'm like, there's one guy who's going to put on a suit and that's that. And then that's how they do the thing. And no, there is so much more that goes into this.
Well, this is the thing. And this is why I've been, you know, reaching out, you know, to yourselves and like-minded creators, you know, because it's like, as a fan, it's something that I'm interested in, you know, and it's something that like, you know, I love seeing. But in terms of like the overall business standpoint, you know, it's not that it's pushed under a rug, but it's not acknowledged as much, you know. And I understand why, you know, it's a lot of like visual effects people, like, sometimes they see motion capture as purely as data collection. And then there's obviously the actor who's like, you know, you've got Andy Serkises, you've got your Neil Newborns, your Troy Bakers, your Nolan Norths, your Terry Notaries, you know, who are all like, no, this is a performance. This is an acting gig, you know, and the industry is very push and pull like that. So I get it. I just love my job and I would like to carry on doing my job, you know, and I love talking about my job, and it's the more eyes I can get on the motion capture industry, the bigger it will get, I hope. So yeah, that was, you know, my, you know, insidious reasoning.
Well, you know, if you know, a Motu fan's love for Beastman somehow gets them to learn all about this, you know, your job and the whole world behind the scenes. I mean, win-win, right?
Yeah, man. But that's the way I look at it anyway.
It's so good. Yeah.
Well, absolutely thanks from all of us, man. It truly was a pleasure. I think we all agree that this hopefully is not the last time that we talk, and please keep us updated on projects you've got coming up, anything we can do to push you and push your industry. And we're a very, very small fish in a very, very big pond, but like I said, whatever we can ever do to help. And I honestly would love to see what it would take to get you across the pond for our little tiny show. I think it would be an absolute riot to meet you in person and be able to kind of celebrate you here in Michigan. So we will be in touch about that for sure.
Yeah, man, I'd love that. You know, I can send some emails and stuff.
Cool. We appreciate it, man.
Love it.
Wicked, brothers. All
Thanks
right.
again, man.
Thank
Enjoy the
you
rest
so
of your
much,
day.
James. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care now.
All right.
Wow, that was awesome.
Wow.
Absolutely fascinating, dude.
Super cool.
Absolutely
man.
Fascinating. So, Jeremy, thank you for having amazing dumb luck and just sitting around
you
and
know,
doing nothing and getting him to reach out.
I'm the social media guy. What can I say?
Right. So, all right. Well, for the Po2 guys, we're
Thanks,
out of
everybody.
It will see you around the universe.
Bring it back for a second.
Yeah, bring it back.